All right, I'm here in Seattle for an unrelated video. But I have a little bit of time to kill, and Seattle is the perfect place to find Filippo-esque cars. All the wagons, GTIs, old Subaru Saabs, my favorite cars. So we have a cool Turo, a nice RS7, and we're gonna go drive around and see some cars that I love. There's no Kenan, there's no Doug, I don't have to think about Ferraris at all. We're gonna find some Filippo cars. All right, we are driving around Seattle, downtown right now, looking for the most Filippo automobiles. And every time you go to a new city, it's fun to see what kind of cars are around, what the people of that city drive. And Seattle cars are kind of my kind of cars. Practical, for all weather, but like a little fun, young, some tech money, which is nice for the coolness factor. So it's fun to just drive around and see what there is here. We're gonna do a loop around downtown, and then we're probably gonna go to Bellevue in case the Microsoft executives have something cool. I will say it is raining, which is not a surprise because it's Seattle. That's probably kept all the LaFerraris and McLaren F1s away, so we can actually see the cars that I care about, like Golf Rs and WRXs and Saab 900s. Fingers crossed we see a nice Saab 900. I will also note it is currently like 1:45 p.m. on a Friday. It's not peak commute time, it's not peak anything time. So not that many cars around, but we'll see good things, including a Dodge Durango with plastic bumpers and cladding galore. What a car. Not a good car. Not at all a good car, but what a car. We're in an Audi RS7 that we rented on Turo, which is very nice. Interestingly, it's a Canadian spec model, kilometers per hour on the speedometer, not miles per hour. But that just kind of makes it cooler. It makes it more Pacific Northwest that it's a Canadian market car. And it's actually really quite pleasant to drive around. I've long considered getting an Audi A7 or S7. I'm not cool enough for an RS7 to replace my station wagon. And this might sway me enough. We'll find out. So far, driving it from 0 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour, very pleasant. That is quite the hood scoop on that 3 Series there. Hopefully they have a large blower underneath there. Something else to make that worthwhile. We also have a Touareg TDI on the right, which is brown. It's as close to the dream as you can really get in America. You want a brown diesel station wagon, there aren't that many of those. So a brown diesel, cool, rare SUV, it's close enough. I'll take that. I'm trying to do this based on Audi's MMI infotainment from 2016. Just the buildings go up. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think we want to go straight ahead. There's a car that I personally don't care at all about, but on the right, we got a Huracan. A Huracan Storado, no less. Pink, quite pink, on dealer plates. What a car. All right, since it's a Storado, I do kind of care. Ironically, we have an Outback Wilderness behind us, which is fitting. Kind of the same car, the Outback Wilderness and the Huracan Storado. We got a Volkswagen Syncro bus on the right. At least I assume it's Syncro. Vanagon, but is it Syncro? Maybe that's not a Syncro. Cut that, I might be wrong. Can't be wrong. All right, we're getting closer and closer to Pike Place, famously where Starbucks was created, where the first Starbucks is, in fact. And also a cool market, etc. But, you know, I think that'd be a good Seattle tour guide. I know a lot about the city. There's a really nice Lexus ES street parked in front of Pike Place right there. Look at that. Look at that ES. That looks so cool. Handicap parking placard too. Driving by the Farmers Market in Pike Place. And on the left, we have a really nice looking Tacoma that seems purple blue. And on the right, we have a 2nd gen 4Runner. And that's such a great Pacific Northwest combo with, by the way, a 3rd gen 4Runner in front of that.
That's what I set you up for.
And of course, a Corolla DX, the basis of the Corolla trims. Well, I'm really glad we chose to go down this road. There's a lot of E150s and GMC Savannahs. Everybody's favorite car spotting vehicles. I swear one of them was a GMC Savannah. The rest of these are Chevy Expresses. I apologize to our more eagle-eyed viewers. That poor Civic. Oregon plates, crashed into someone in the street and seemingly still driving around. There's a Ferris wheel in the distance, there's the water, there's an island. What a place. And if at any point you're wondering about Subaru's sales figures, you're thinking to yourself, I don't believe that Subaru sold that many Outbacks. Come to Seattle, prove you wrong. There's a Mini Cooper EV to my left, Bruisers pointed out. Nobody cares.
I care.
I do care though about the 1st gen Cadillac CTS and about the Outback to our left, with the brown over tan cladding situation. There is a very nice, I'm gonna get this right, Dodge Caravan to our left. And by very nice, I mean it exists, and that for that generation Caravan is all you can ask for. Meanwhile, on the right, we got a combo of a Camry Solara convertible, a 1 Series convertible, which are great here in Seattle, and then an old legacy wagon. We're gonna go to Bellevue. Primarily because will be better cars. Will be just like, it's more a little more suburban. Maybe we got some better car spotting in general. Also, I've never been to Bellevue, and it's nice to see places that are a beautiful view. A little joke on the word Bellevue there. Hope everybody enjoyed that. Wow, we're gonna cross over to Mercer Island, over the water on a bridge. Regular Range Rover Sport, a Nissan Leaf, which is a rare sight, but not because it's special, let's say. No, this is the WRX hatchback to our right, so that's nice. There is one of my least favorite lane keeping systems in this car, and I cannot tell where the button is to turn that off. I don't think I've seen as many Model X's in the last year as I have in the last 5 minutes of driving from Seattle to Bellevue. Oh, poor guy riding his motorcycle home on a rainy afternoon. And luckily for him, there's a sign that says motorcyclists use extreme caution. So that's good advice. I'm gonna call it right now. We've just entered Bellevue. In the next 10 minutes, I will see a Mercedes-Benz E450 all-terrain. It seems like the place where you'd see a Mercedes-Benz E450 all-terrain, and I would be thrilled to. There is a 993 right there, and that looks like a wide-body 993, so 4S or turbo. I know a lot about 993s, viewers. I know a lot about them. That's one of the wide ones. Abrupt lane edge, okay. A Cayman, nice, a nice 987 Cayman. Still on the lookout for an E450 all-terrain and an Alfa Romeo 164. If you don't know what the interior of an Alfa Romeo 164 looks like, go look it up right now. We've hosted a couple on Cars and Bids. It is so many buttons, and it's not beautiful, but it is striking. I need to become more Italian. I gotta get rid of my Fiat and buy something even more Italian, like a 164 with a Busso V6 and buttons for days. I saw the edge of a G-Wagon, but it's just a new G550. It's not interesting to me. Behind us to the left, there's a nice Defender 110. That's not an NAS Defender, so it's imported. Where do we think it's imported? No, my goodness. I don't think that's an NAS. It's not an NAS Defender anyways, but imported from somewhere that's left-hand drive, which is always a little bit extra special. There's also a CLS 63 AMG on the right, which is kind of a competitor to the car we're driving in. Do you think we have them beat? Do they have us beat? I don't know. Mark IV Mark IV R32 on the left, always nice to see. You know, the person that I bought my GTI from sold it, lived in Seattle, sold it because she had bought herself a Mark IV R32 in blue, which is really the dream car. So in a lot of ways, she upgraded massively. There is an Alfa here on the right, but it's a Giulia, and therefore it doesn't meet my 164 or cooler requirement. There is a very yellow Smart 4 too. There's also a Suzuki SX4, which you might not think is cool, but it was also, the hatchback version of that was also sold in Italy as the Fiat 16, which is 16. And a blue GR Corolla, always nice to see. Also very excitingly, a nice looking two-door XJ Cherokee. Here's a little story time. My family moved to the US when I was 8. And my stepdad already lived in the US. He's American. He had an XJ Cherokee, and I remember having a picture of it up on our wall in Italy, because in Italy, an XJ Cherokee would have been insane. It seemed like a giant SUV. It seemed so American, so cool. And of course now, it's the size of like a Jeep Renegade. It's such a small SUV that's not, but I'm glad it's become special again in some way or another. An Escalade IQ. I don't see many of those driving around yet. We've also passed by 4 different GLSs. Regular GLSs, but 4 different GLSs nonetheless. This seems like a beautiful community of houses. We're in just slightly too conspicuous of a car to be like the gardener or something, but not nice enough because we have a camera mounted to the back to be just accidentally lost. Oh, meanwhile, there's a Grand Am on the left. How sweet. All right, we have made it to Microsoft HQ, makers of our favorite products like Word and Excel and PowerPoint. And as a person that does things at Cars and Bids besides videos, I'm way too familiar with each of those products. But we're gonna drive around and see what there is that's any good around here.
You know, tech bros and Filippo, you often have similar tastes in cars, for better or worse. So we'll see what we find. And as a starting point, we got a great row here. All right, got a Nissan Pathfinder, a very nice looking Pathfinder, by the way, for when it was still a real SUV. Followed by a Mini Clubman Cooper S, barn doors, unreliable. And then we have an i3, and who doesn't love a nice i3? We have a GTI, a Mark 7, no real surprise there. Expect to see a bunch of those. We've got an SL63 AMG. That is a, you know, $200,000 car that is worth less than that. Fun fact, this GLB 250, that, aside from the GLA, was Mercedes' smallest SUV, but it was available with 3 rows of seats. In this faraway lot, far away from any building, we have an Ineos Grenadier and a Lexus 608, or Lexus LX 600. 2 very different takes on what modern SUVs are like. As we enter the visitor parking lot, apparently, we've got a new Land Cruiser in a sandish brown color. Without looking at the front, I couldn't tell you what trim it is, if it has the round headlights or the non-round headlights. But on the left, we have a 997.1 Carrera 4S, which is a excellent Seattle car. All right, we're in an underground garage. Here's what I think we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see an Alfa Romeo 164 and an E450 All-Terrain. There's a lot of mid-size SUVs. Like a lot of mid-size SUVs. All right, where would you park if you were a Microsoft employee and you had something a little bit more special? Would you wanna go all the way to the bottom? Oh, a first-gen Insight. Just park down here. Looks so small compared to literally every other car here, but it's so lovely. There's also one of the neon green Bolts over there, and a C6 Corvette hidden in the enthusiast parking spot, which is the one next to the wall. And on the right, we have an Audi RS6 Avant. This seems to be where the enthusiasts park, right? As far away from everybody else as you possibly can. That feels right. That is where I would park if I had any cars I cared about. I kind of want to go to the lower levels, but I don't know how to get there. A Mark 6 GTI on the correct Mark 6 GTI wheels. An Acura CL. Wonder if it's a stick. Could be. There's like a real chance. And a whole lot of office chairs. This is not Microsoft's like marquee garage, I don't think. Well, we gotta check what's on the bottom of the parking garage. We got an X2, got a Bronco, an OJ looking Bronco with tan side skirts. Another same gen Bronco over here. What a Bronco kind of day at Microsoft HQ. We're going deep, deep, deep on a day when frankly, there's clearly a lot of people working from home. So we'll see what we get deep in the Microsoft parking garage. I'm stunned by how deep this parking garage goes, but it keeps going. Good news, everybody. The parking garage keeps going. We are at the bottom story of this parking garage, except that maybe we're not. What is parked down here? There is one singular car, and it is a Cayman.
Wow.
It's a 987 Cayman. Just that is the ultimate enthusiast parking spot. The owner of this Cayman comes down this full set to the very bottom of the building so that they can park. Oh, that car has not moved in a minute. That is a dusty, dusty 987 Cayman S in cobalt blue. Wow. How long do you think that car has been there? If you are the owner of that car, and honestly, given that you're watching this video, you might be. Tell us the story behind it. Why did you abandon your 987.1 Cayman S down at the very, very, very bottom in the last possible spot of the Microsoft parking garage? Why did you abandon it there? And also, will you sell it to me? Just reach out. That car's been there for a minute. Is that what happens when you own too many cars? You just forget? Hoovy, tell us, have you forgotten a car in a parking garage? Wow, that's a lot of windows. All right, final parking lot. Yes, finally. Thought it would come sooner, but we have an S213 E450 All-Terrain. We did it. We spotted the car we most wanted to spot, finally. Also very Doug spec, better wheels. And a roof carrier. What a dream. We did it, we've done it. We found an E450 All-Terrain.
All right, we've done some car spotting in the Seattle area. We went to Bellevue. We drove around some parking garages and found abandoned 987 Caymans. We've done it all in this RS7. We did not, however, find an Alfa Romeo 164, which was my only goal today. But luckily, there's a Buick Century parked there. And honestly, that's close enough. Thank you for joining on Filippo's car spotting adventure. I'm a little disappointed that we saw a Huracan Sterrato. Just don't really care. But luckily, we also saw some good cars like the ZDX and like a lot of Mercedes-Benz GLSs. Thanks for watching.